In today's show, a new Microsoft offering, Meta layoffs, SA data breaches, event cyber readiness, and the AI incident database. This is Priviso Live. Good day, everyone, and welcome back to Priviso Live. I'm Lynn, and joining me as always are Stephen and Kayla. We've got a packed show for you this week. From Microsoft dropping a brand new mega bundle, to Meta potentially giving thousands of employees the boot and, closer to home, some pretty sobering news about data breaches right here in Mzansi.
You know, it's been a hectic week in cyber and tech. I barely had time to finish my coffee before the next headline dropped.
Shame, Stephen. Maybe Microsoft's new AI can make your coffee for you. But seriously, folks, stick around. There's a lot to unpack.
Right, let's kick things off with something from Redmond. Microsoft has announced what they're calling the Frontier Suite, Microsoft 365 E7. Stephen, break it down for us.
So look, Microsoft has essentially taken their top-tier offering, Microsoft 365 E5, and bundled it with Microsoft Copilot, their AI assistant, plus a brand new product called Agent 365 and the Entra Security Suite. All of that rolled into one license. They're calling it the Frontier Suite because it's meant to be the cutting edge of enterprise productivity.
And then there's the pricing. If you bought all of those pieces separately, you'd be paying about $117 per user per month. E5 at $60, Entra Suite at $12, Copilot at $30, Agent 365 at $15, but E7, $99 per user per month.
So there's a genuine saving there. But $99 a head per month is still a pretty penny, especially for South African organizations dealing with the Rand exchange rate.
Absolutely. But what's significant here is the direction Microsoft is heading. They're not just selling you Office anymore. They're selling you an AI-infused workplace. Copilot sits across your email, your documents, your meetings, your spreadsheets, and Agent 365 takes it further. These are autonomous AI agents that can perform tasks on your behalf within business applications.
For the security folks in our audience, and I know that's most of you, the interesting part is the governance angle. Microsoft is pushing the message that E7 gives IT and security leaders the observability and governance they need to operate AI at enterprise scale. That includes Defender, Intune, and Purview capabilities baked right in.
The general availability date is the 1st of May 2026, so organizations have a bit of time to evaluate. But mark my words, the push from Microsoft reps is going to be intense.
I can already hear the procurement teams groaning, right, let's move on. Now, from building the future to cutting the workforce, Reuters reported last week that Meta, the parent company of Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, is considering laying off up to 20% of its staff. Kayla, what's the story?
It's a big one, Lynn. Meta had roughly 79,000 employees as of December last year. 20% of that is nearly 16,000 people. If it goes ahead, it would be their biggest layoff since late 2022, when Zuckerberg cut 11,000 jobs.
And the reason? It's all about AI. Meta is planning to spend up to $135 billion this year on AI infrastructure, data centers, chips, the works. That's nearly double what they spent in 2025. And they've announced plans to invest $600 billion on data centers by 2028.
So they're essentially replacing people with machines. The departments most at risk are mid-level management, quality assurance, customer support, and internal IT. They've already cut about 1,500 people from Reality Labs, that's the metaverse division, and shifted those resources to AI research.
Now, Meta's spokesperson called the Reuters report speculative, which is corporate speak for, we're not confirming it yet, but the markets loved it. Meta's share price jumped nearly 3% on the news.
Which tells you everything about where Wall Street's head is at, hey? Cut humans, invest in AI, share price goes up. It's a bit dystopian if you think about it.
Now, let's come home to South Africa, and I'm afraid the news isn't great. We've got two stories that really need to be talked about together. First, the Gauteng provincial government suffered a massive data breach. And second, new research shows that data breaches in South Africa are happening every 3 hours. Stephen, start us off with the data breach story.
Right, so a ransomware as a service group calling themselves XP95 managed to exfiltrate 3.8 terabytes of data from the provincial government. That's over 3.6 million individual files. And the contents? High-resolution copies of ID documents, passports, and CVs of people who'd applied for government jobs.
Aish. That's not just embarrassing, that's a privacy catastrophe. These are South African citizens whose most sensitive personal information is now up for sale on the dark web for $25,000. The threat actors even dumped a 1.8 gigabyte sample online as proof.
And how did this happen?
According to Dark Notify's forensic analysis, the breach most likely originated from an internal scanner server. But here's the really damning part. Internal assessments reveal that 70% of the Gauteng provincial government's network devices, more than 1,700 individual hardware units, had already reached end of service. They were running on kit that should have been decommissioned long ago.
It's like leaving your front door open and then acting surprised when someone walks in.
And this ties directly into the bigger picture. A report drawing on research from Palo Alto Network's Unit 42 found that South African organizations are experiencing a data breach on average every 3 hours. Kayla, walk us through those numbers.
The numbers are staggering. South Africa saw a 60% rise in data breaches during the first half of 2025. The information regulator receives around 284 breach notifications every month, and here's the gut punch: 90% of these breaches are classified as preventable.
90% preventable. Let that sink in. Unit 42 investigated over 750 major incidents across 50 countries and found that identity-related weaknesses were implicated in nearly 90% of the breaches. Things like weak passwords, poorly managed access credentials, and fragmented security systems.
And the speed of attacks has accelerated dramatically. The time between a network intrusion and data exfiltration has shrunk to an average of 72 minutes. In 2024, it was 285 minutes. So attackers are getting faster while our defenses haven't kept up.
And the cost to the economy?
Interpol estimates that cybercrime costs South Africa approximately 2.2 billion rand annually. And that's probably conservative given the rate things are going.
So what should organizations be doing?
The basics, honestly: patch your systems, replace end-of-life hardware, implement proper identity and access management. And for goodness sake, stop treating cybersecurity as an afterthought. If 70% of your devices are past end of service, as in Gauteng's case, you're not unlucky. You're negligent.
Hear, hear.
Now, let's look at something a bit different. With the FIFA World Cup coming to North America this June and the Winter Olympics having just wrapped up in Milan Cortina, there's been some excellent analysis on what organizations can learn from how these mega events handle incident response. Stephen, you found this piece from Dark Reading quite interesting.
I did, Lynn. Look, when you think about the Olympics or the World Cup, you're talking about some of the most targeted events on the planet from a cybersecurity perspective. The Italian government confirmed it thwarted multiple attacks during the Winter Games. They ran simulations, tabletop exercises, and red team, blue team drills for months in advance.
And there are some proper takeaways for any organization, not just those running mega events. First, preparation is everything. You need well-vetted playbooks and response teams that are trained to act under pressure. Second, communication during a crisis, clear, consistent messaging is essential for maintaining trust.
Third, and this is a big one, third-party ecosystem security. These events rely on hundreds of partners, suppliers, and service providers. One weak link can compromise the entire operation. Sound familiar? That's exactly what we're seeing in the corporate world with supply chain attacks.
And the final lesson is about people. Cybersecurity is fundamentally about people, technology, and processes matter, but it's the human element of trust, teamwork, and collaboration that makes the real difference. Different organizations need to talk to each other, share intelligence, and work together.
Brilliant points, both of you. And honestly, if the Olympics can prepare for nation-state attacks, there's no reason a mid-sized South African business can't prepare for ransomware. Now, before we wrap up, we've got a bonus segment for you this week. We've been talking a lot about AI today, Microsoft bundling it into everything, Meta betting the farm on it. But what happens when AI goes wrong? Kayla, tell us about an incredible resource that's been quietly cataloguing AI's failures.
Gladly, Lynn. It's called the AI Incident Database, and you can find it at incidentdatabase.ai. It's a project run by the Responsible AI Collaborative, and its mission is simple but powerful: to catalogue every known instance where an AI system has caused harm or near harm in the real world.
Think of it as a crash investigation database, but for artificial intelligence. The aviation industry has been doing this for decades. Every time a plane has an incident, it gets documented, analyzed, and the lessons get shared so it doesn't happen again. The AI incident database is trying to do the same thing for AI.
And how big is it?
It's growing fast. They've catalogued well over 1,000 incidents so far. Just between November 2025 and January 2026, they added 108 new incidents to the database. And these aren't hypothetical risks. These are real-world harms that have actually happened to real people.
And some of the cases are properly harrowing. There's the case of Angela Lips, a grandmother from Tennessee in the United States, who spent nearly 6 months in jail after an AI facial recognition system incorrectly identified her as a suspect in a bank fraud investigation in North Dakota. 6 months of her life gone because of a false match.
And that's not an isolated incident, Stephen. Research has shown that commercial facial recognition systems have error rates of up to 34% for dark-skinned women, compared to less than 1% for light-skinned men. There's a massive bias problem baked into these systems.
Aish. And this is the technology that governments and businesses are rushing to deploy.
Exactly. And that's why the AI incident database matters so much. It's crowdsourced. Anyone can submit an incident for consideration, and it's open source. It was originally incubated by the Partnership on AI before becoming its own independent project. The idea is that if we document and share what goes wrong, we can stop making the same mistakes over and over.
For our audience, whether you're deploying AI in your organization or evaluating vendors who use AI, this database should be on your radar. Search it for incidents related to your use case. If you're looking at facial recognition, search for facial recognition. If you're deploying chatbots, search for chatbot incidents. Learn from what's gone wrong elsewhere before it goes wrong for you.
And I'd add, for anyone in a governance or compliance role, this is gold. It gives you real evidence to bring to the boardroom when you're making the case for responsible AI deployment. Not theoretical risks, but documented harms.
And it ties back beautifully to everything we've discussed today. Hey, Microsoft is pushing AI agents into every corner of the enterprise. Meta is pouring hundreds of billions into AI. But who's keeping track of when these systems cause harm? That's what incidentdatabase.ai is trying to answer.
Bottom line, bookmark it, use it, contribute to it. The more incidents that get documented, the safer AI becomes for everyone.
And that really is a wrap for this week's Priviso Live. Quick recap: Microsoft's new E7 Frontier suite is bundling AI into everything at $99 a pop. Meta's cutting staff to fund its AI ambitions. South Africa's data breach situation is critical, with Gauteng as the latest cautionary tale. The big sporting events are showing us how proper incident response planning should look, and the AI incident database is reminding us to learn from AI's mistakes before they become our own.
We hope you found today's episode interesting. If you did, please share it with your colleagues, your friends, your family. Word of mouth is a strong driver of podcast growth.
If you want to hear more of the same, subscribe to Priviso Live on Apple, Samsung, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or YouTube.
And if you need security, risk, or ICT legislation advice, contact Priviso, consulting directly at admin@priviso.co.za.
And if you have topics you'd like us to cover or questions about anything we discussed today, reach out to us. We love hearing from our listeners.
I'm Stephen.
And I'm Kayla. Thanks for listening.
Stay safe, everyone.